Hey everyone, it is Lost Pilot with another video about MSFS Add-ons Linker by bad2000, which is available from flightsim.to. This is a great add-on that recently had an update that made it even better, so I wanted to release a video talking about some of the changes, as well as just to give you an introduction to how to use this program. So first and foremost, the current version, which is found under Help About, is this long version here, so 0.3.7595.28608. So if you have a different version than what you're seeing on screen and are not seeing the things I'm showing you, then be sure to go to flightsim.to and check for the update there and download it. If you have a newer version, then this video is officially out of date and I might not cover everything, so be sure to check the documentation for the app on the product page. Okay, so first and foremost, my add-ons are already set up. So you're already seeing some add-ons on the community folder side here, as well as add-ons listed on the left. So when you first launch this app, that's not going to be the case for you. You're not going to see anything, in fact. So what I want to show you is the menu that's going to appear when you first load. So when you first load, you're going to be prompted to add your add-ons folder, your Microsoft Flight Sim community folder, your presets folder, and new in this version, you can also add a flight simulator start command. You can also rename the description column, set a folder initial state, enable horizontal mode, which was in the last version. You can also disable the MSFS is running warning. We'll go into that, as well as check this box for administrator rights to disable the check for run as admin when the application starts. And as well, this one sneaking over here is the use system tray when minimized. Okay, so first and foremost, you are going to want to have an add-ons folder. Now this folder can be any folder of your choice. You can create it wherever you want. I recommend putting it somewhere close to the root of a directory somewhere, because one of the great benefits of this is it helps with long folder name errors you might run into when installing some add-ons, or even when you're trying to paste files into your community folder. So I have my add-ons folder just right inside my G drive, which is my SSD. So I've got G MSFS add-ons, and for my community folder, I'm on the Steam version. As you can see, my community folder is not nested the way the community folder is if you have the Microsoft Store version. If you do have that version and are not sure where your community folder is, just Google that. There are plenty of guides to tell you where that folder is and how to locate it easily. If you're on Steam, it's going to be wherever you chose when you ran the installer the first time. For me, that just so happened to be on that same drive under Microsoft Flight Simulator Packages Community. So you want to make sure that's the community folder you have there, and then your presets folder by default is in program data, and honestly you can leave it alone, you can move it if you want, but as before, this is a really small set of files that get created when you create presets, so you don't really need to worry about storage limitations or anything like that. So I just left that on my OS drive, my C drive. Now, I'm not adding a flight simulator start command myself, but you could do this because you can now launch the simulator from MSFS Add-ons Linker, and we'll talk about that. I actually haven't tried that, so we'll try that live and see how that goes. You can also rename the description column. So this is literally just a column that shows up, I believe, we'll take a look at that when we get in there. I believe I know where that is, but we'll look at it and make sure. Folder initial state, so this is all collapsed, all expanded, or remember last state. So I like personally to start with all collapsed. And as you can see on the left here where it says available add-ons, my different categories are collapsed to begin with. And I prefer that just because I do have a lot, especially you can see I have 284 liveries there. So when that's expanded, I just have to scroll forever. So I recommend that. Horizontal mode, I still to this day haven't tried horizontal mode, but you can enable horizontal mode if you like. I believe that swaps the orientation of these two panes. You can also disable this warning that says MSFS is running. So what this means is when you're running Flight Simulator and you open this program, if it detects that Flight Sim is running, it'll warn you that you probably want to close Flight Sim before working in here. And the reason for that in part is because Microsoft Flight Sim is not going to actually detect add-ons you add while it's running. And that has nothing to do with this program. That's just a Flight Sim limitation currently. So you would need to close Flight Sim and relaunch it. Also, if you're working with files that might be in use by Flight Sim potentially, you might run into problems. So that's why that warning is there. I recommend that rather than disabling it, unless you're absolutely confident you want to do that, I recommend you just make sure that anytime you're working with the add-ons linker that you're not running Flight Sim at that time. For admin rights, you can also disable run as admin check when the application starts. What I like to do is just right-click my shortcut for this program and tell it to always run as an admin from the compatibility tab when you right-click the shortcut and click properties. Okay, use system tray when minimized is self-explanatory. What this means is when you minimize the program, it will go to the system tray. I'm going to leave that off there, so we will go ahead and click OK. And we'll go and click OK, and I'll show you something here. So if you've chosen a folder and you don't have any add-ons in it yet, this will still be blank over here as well as the left side because you haven't created any links yet. So what I want to show you is that you can click this little box, this little folder icon here next to add-ons, or this little folder icon here next to community to open up the respective folders, which is great. So I'm going to pull my add-ons folder over here, and we will also grab the community folder over here. So because I've already done this, I already have a bunch of stuff. As you can see, these are all what look like shortcuts in my community folder, okay? And on my left side, you see that I already have add-ons there. If you're just starting out, you probably won't have anything here, and that's fine. You might have everything in your community folder already, not as shortcuts, but as the whole folder. So for instance, let's say you have a bunch of liveries. As you know, those all get dumped into your community folder. So what you can do, rather than have those in your community folder, if you already have add-ons in your community folder, what I recommend you do is inside your mods folder or your add-ons folder, go ahead and create a bunch of new folders, and you can structure them however you want. So you could separate them any way you want. I have mine separated between aircraft, bush flights, liveries, scenery, and utilities. And then furthermore, I have scenery broken up by region. So I have Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, and the US. And once you get into the US, I again have it separated by state. You don't have to do this. This is not a requirement. This is just something that helps organize your scenery a little bit better inside the program itself, which I'll show you in a moment. So yeah, once you have your add-on folder structured the way you want, if you do already have add-ons in your community folder, go ahead and grab them. So let's say you had a bunch of liveries, you would just grab those and you would drag them right over into your liveries folder. Now I'm not going to do that because these are already shortcuts created by the program. And do the same for all your other add-ons. If you don't have add-ons yet, great, just start downloading add-ons. FlightSim.to is a great resource to get add-ons, especially liveries, some scenery and whatnot. So head over there, grab your add-ons, download them, and put the folders inside of whatever folders you have set up here. Okay, so with that said, once you do that, you're going to have this message here saying add-ons has a refresh needed. You sometimes might see that over in community folder as well. There's a handy dandy refresh button here. Now when I do it, nothing's going to change because it noticed that I created that new folder and then deleted it. That's why it was telling me, hey, you might need to refresh this. So it will detect any changes to your folder. Now, what's going to happen is you are not going to have these checked automatically. These are not going to be checked, and there won't be anything over on the right here. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and check. So they'll appear like this. Okay, so under my aircraft folder, I unchecked these, and now there's a bunch of red dots. These have not yet had a link created is what that means. So you can check individually, or you can use this box to check all to install all of these add-ons. And you'll see I actually have some payware add-ons in here as well. You can do that as long as the installer, if there is an installer for the add-on, lets you choose the folder. So you'll notice here I have the Great Add-ons by India Fox Echo. These just are zip files that you download, so you can put the loose files right in this folder. Similarly, I have the Black Box Simulations L19 Bird Dog, and that one, when you download it, it's an installer, but it asks you for your community folder, and you can just point it instead to the aircraft folder inside of your add-ons folder. You don't actually have to point it to your community folder. And then you just enable it in here, and it'll work as if it was in your community folder. Okay, so you're going to want to do that for all of your add-ons. And when you do that, you will get this list over here on the right that has all the information about your add-ons. And these are color coded, and I'll get into what these colors mean. I will point out here that you can search on both sides. You can search to filter it if you have a ton of add-ons and you're trying to find one pesky add-on maybe that's giving you trouble or isn't working. You can search for it on either side and double check what the status is. Okay, so I have a bunch of links here. You'll see at the bottom there are 4 colors with descriptions, and you can hover over those for more detailed descriptions. Now green, which is the color you want, is 376 for me. That's all of the add-ons on the left enabled on the right here. So that's good. Green means you have successfully created a link in your community folder, and that's what these all are here. And this is a symbolic link, so this is great because the game believes fully that it is in the community folder, even though those files are not technically in the community folder. So green means you've got a link. You'll also see the is link checkbox is checked here, and it gives you the path under link target to the actual add-on location on your hard drive. You also get some other information that gets pulled from the manifest.json file from the add-on, such as the title, the creator if provided, versions, so on and so forth. And these versions can be handy if you're looking at flightsim.to and you want to make sure you have the latest version. You can reference that if it's included here. I will mention flightsim.to has a great mod manager on their website that allows you to track the mods you have already downloaded that have updates available, and that's if you have an account through them. So I highly recommend that. It's a free account, definitely worth your while. Okay, so we have all these added here. Let's talk about what these other colors mean, because I do have one that is green. So we'll go, or rather blue. So green means represents a valid link managed by this tool, okay? Blue, which says folder, says represents a standard Windows folder. So let's scroll down to where I have one of these blue ones, and don't be confused by the line you have highlighted, because that'll appear a slightly different shade of blue. More blue, this is a bit more of like a periwinkle or something. So this one here says Orbix Airport OG20 Fairways, and it is not a link. You'll notice that that box isn't checked and it's blue. And that's because I actually downloaded this through the Orbix manager, and this is a free airport they provided. And when they asked me to install it, I installed it to my community folder. So that's actually a folder inside of my community folder, and that's fine. You can have them set up like that. You can mix and match. If I search here for Orbix, you'll see that that's not a shortcut. That's a real add-on. You can definitely still put add-ons in your community folder, and they will be compatible. All right, so you'll notice I don't have any that are this color, which says represents a valid link not managed by the tool. So what that refers to is a symbolic link you have already created, maybe manually or with another program, to an add-on that the symbolic link lives in your community folder, but it was not created and is not managed by MSFS Add-ons linker. So that's fine. You can do that if you want as well. The important one is this red color here that says invalid links. So I have none here, but it says represents an invalid link that is not, let's hover over there, pointing to any existing folder anymore. So this is a great add-on that was added. If you'd seen my last video, you know that this was a bit of a pain sometimes to manage. So let's talk about what that means. So what we'll do is open my add-ons folder, and I'm going to go ahead and go into liveries, and I'll just pick one at random. Sorry, you are the chosen one here. We're going to delete that. I'm going to refresh the add-ons folder. I'll refresh the community folder as well. And there we go. You'll see I have a red line here. So this one is not real anymore. So the symbolic link is still there in my community folder, but the add-ons linker knows that it's not really there. It's not in my add-ons anymore. So it's telling us, hey, this isn't going to work. It's not going to point to any actual files. So you can right-click that individual one and say delete selected invalid links, or you can right-click and say delete all invalid links. And I'm not going to do that because I'm actually going to go and add it back, but that is how you would do that if you were going to like change the name or location of a bunch of add-ons, or maybe remove a bunch of add-ons. That's how you would clean that up, is you'd go into that community folder, you would hit refresh and get rid of all the symbolic links that are not there anymore. So I just put mine back, so I will refresh and we're all good again. Everything's happy. All right, so in my scenery, I'll show you how and why I broke it up into regions like this. So when I expand scenery, I have my country regions here, and then I can just expand those country regions, or if I pull up a country where I have further breakdowns like state in the case of US, this is just nice and tidy for me. I can go in and look at individual states and just kind of manage my sceneries. like that. So let's talk about a few of the other options in this program, some of which are new. Under File, you just have Exit. Under Tools, you have Refresh All, which I believe is the same as hitting this refresh and this refresh. So you can also do that. And Presets we'll talk about in a second. Options was the menu I showed you at the beginning. Help has an About file that shows you your version, as well as a Help file here. And this just gives you a little message saying currently that there's not yet a help file, and he'll reference you to my video. So this will be the new video that you're seeing now if you came to me via that notification there. All right, so below that we have this menu here, and I'll mention as well, these can be kind of dragged around, and if you do that on accident it might confuse you. So just be warned, if you accidentally swap these around, you can grab the left handle here and just kind of move them up and down, and you can even move them around, so just fair warning. Okay, the first icon here is the Open Presets window. Second one is Expand All. Third is Collapse All. Then we have Expand and Collapse to folder level. Open folder of the currently selected environment, and Launch Simulator. These are all new as of this version, so let's talk about them. Let's talk about Collapse All first. Very simple. It collapsed everything. Expand All expanded everything all the way through. Okay, so every folder layer level was expanded. Let's go and fix that. And then we'll say expand to folder level. So that expands, but it doesn't open up all the subfolders. So you'll see all my states here are still, they're not expanded. So anything that's a folder that doesn't have other folders in it, essentially, I believe is how that's going to work. This is a new feature, which is great, open to the currently selected environment. So if I wanted to grab a specific mod, I could click this folder and it'll bring me right to that exact add-on if I wanted to manage it. All right, and then we have the Launch Simulator button. Now the Launch Simulator button says, please set your application target in the options screen. So that is something you do have to set up. So you will need to put the executable path to your flight sim here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my flight sim folder, and oh, that's not where it is. Silly me, it is actually in my Steam folder. Let's go back. So Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and then flightsimulator.exe. I'm going to right click that, or actually I'm going to click that and click Properties, okay? And then see this location here? Now there's probably an easier way to do this, but call me silly, I don't actually know how to do that. So I'm going to grab this location here, and we know that it's just called flightsimulator.exe. So I'm going to paste that, and then backslash flightsimulator.exe. There we go. And then I would click OK. And now, if I were to press this button, as far as I know, it would launch the simulator. Now, I'm not going to do that because then we're going to sit here and stare at the launch screen and listen to the music. So that's how you set that up. Last one we'll talk about, which is actually the first option, is the presets window. So when I open that, you're going to see I actually have a preset, but let me show you how to create those, because this is actually a really great feature. Let's say you have scenery all over the world, and you know that you're only going to be flying in one country. So I'm going to go ahead and open, for instance, the Norway folder, and let's say that's the only place I'm going to be flying is Norway for this session. I'm going to uncheck Iceland, Greenland, Canada, and the US. So when I did that, it actually removed the symbolic links to those other locations. And I could also remove maybe some of the bush flights that aren't in that region, maybe even liveries that I'm not going to be using. You can go as crazy as you want with it. You don't really need to get too involved, but once I've done this, how this looks right now, I can be saved as a preset. So I'm going to right click, and you can right click anywhere, and I'm going to click Save New Preset. And I'm going to call this one, we'll just call it Scenery Norway. There's no rules to how you name these to my knowledge. So, all right, I've done that. So I've saved the Scenery Norway. And now when I right click, you'll see I can restore an existing preset. I can update the current preset if I were to make changes, and I can save a new preset yet again, okay? So if I click Restore Existing Preset, you'll see that I have this all add-ons that I created about 9 days ago, or the new Scenery Norway. So I can choose one of those and click OK, and it's going to bring me right back to the state I was in before I made any changes. I'm going to go ahead and just re-enable everything because it's been a while since I actually updated my all add-ons preset. So I'm going to go ahead and see if, yeah, there we go. A preset with the same name already exists. Replace it. Yes. Okay. So yeah, you can have as many presets as you want. You can always find them by going to restore existing preset or just clicking this open presets window right here, choosing your preset, click OK. You can also search your presets if you have a ton of them. And we'll close that there. And yeah, that is the gist of this program. That's basically all you need to know to run it. One of the great things about this is, as I said before, if you have your flight simulator installed via the Microsoft Store or the Xbox Store, whatever you want to call it, it is nested into a really long path. And one of the problems you may have run into is pasting really long folder names into there. So let's say you have a mod that also has a bunch of folders nested inside of each other. You go to put it in your community folder and you get a warning saying this folder path is too long. So you can work your way around that essentially by using a program like this where you have that add-on in a different location and then you symbolically link it. A friend of mine tested that out and can confirm it did work for him. Your mileage may vary. It of course depends on just how long that file path really is, but that can help quite a bit if you run into that problem. Otherwise, it's a great way to just manage and maintain your add-ons. So yeah, anytime I have a new add-on, I go in here, I put it in the appropriate subfolder. Next thing I do is I launch this program, and once it's open, I go ahead and activate that add-on that I just added. And if I need to, I put it in a different preset, and then I go ahead and launch my simulator, which you can now do from in here as well. So I'm actually going to click this time just to show you that it works and make sure we did it correctly. Launch Flight Simulator, yes. And as you can see, despite being on an NVMe drive, it is going to take its sweet time, and then Flight Simulator is going to start. If you have any options that you add to your launch, like any arguments, I assume you could add them here. Now, I don't have any launch arguments, and I'm not sure if there really are any popular launch arguments these days, but that would be essentially a hyphen and some kind of rule, like, you know, maybe it'd be like no intro videos or something like that. That's the type of thing I'm referring to there. Yep, there we go. It is finally launching Flight Sim. The notorious long startup has begun, so I will leave you at that rather than making you wait through it. Thanks for checking this out. Feel free to post any questions you have here, or hop over to flightsim.to and search for this add-on there and ask any questions of the developer bad2000 on the product page as well. Appreciation to bad2000 for this great add-on, and that's where I'll end it. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.